all these people are taking their gas-guzzling, expensive luxury cars, their private jets, but no, they want you, the peasant, to track yourself.
That's right.
The hypocrisy of these people. This forum, right, is the personification of late-stage fiat.
Let's quickly dive into this article before we dive into the multitude of fails that is Davos and the World Economic Forum. But before we dive into that, let's take a look at this article real quick. Coin in Bitcoin doesn't make it money. IMF chief Kristalina Georgieva. This is the part of the timeline we're in right now, becoming these types of arguments. IMF chief Kristalina Georgieva on Monday cautioned against confusing crypto products with currencies and said anything not backed by a sovereign guarantee, you mean not backed by violence, can be an asset class, but not a currency, as she asserted that Bitcoin cannot be money just because it has got coin in its name. That this is the argument that we have now. Because it has the word coin in its name, well, that's it. It can't be money. I don't see why this matters, huh?
Look at the euro. That doesn't have the word coin in it, or the British pound. I don't see the word coin in there either. That is the silliest argument.
It's strange. It's such a
ridiculous.
From somebody like this, it's such a strange argument. Anyways, at the same session, Central Bank of France Governor Francis Villeroy de Galhau said, "I always speak of crypto as assets and not as currencies. For any currency, someone has to take the responsibility, but there is no one in case of so-called cryptocurrencies. Also, currencies need to have a lot of trust and they need to be universally acceptable." This is just strange. They've honestly brainwashed themselves into levels of stupidity that make no sense whatsoever. Okay, I'm gonna finish this article off with experts believe CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, have the potential to reshape financial systems, changing the landscape of payments and banking. More countries are experimenting with CBDCs and some are beginning to bring them to market, potentially offering lessons for the rest of the world. Yeah, we're about to learn how countries rug pull their citizens digitally. This is what we're about to learn with CBDCs. Anyways, before we move on, do you guys have any quick takes on this one?
Dude, the only thing I'm gonna say, I'm gonna point this out once again, right, is that Kristalina Georgieva, right, she graduated from the Karl Marx Institute in her home country, and check out what her degree was in the politics of economics. What the F does that mean? And that perfectly, look, that thing that you just wrote perfectly represents her school of thought. Listen, I believe that money should be apolitical. This is the consequence of political money. And look at the inequality and look at all the people suffering around the world because of political money. It's time for humanity to take the next step. Those are my thoughts.
Brett, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah. I'll add that, I think it speaks to a larger picture of what politicians and appointed people like Christine Lagarde in those types of positions. I don't think she was elected, right? What their role is. They are here to service the greater good. They are representatives of people. And with that spirit, they need to be thinking of their constituents and what is best for them, not what is best for them personally. And so I'm constantly curious on why someone says things like this. Like, did someone get to them? Is their family being held hostage? What is it? Like, how could they possibly defend these statements? They know, are they stupid? Like, I want to know what people's motivations are for thinking the way they do, because I don't think it's as simple as, they believe that their economic theories are better than hard money. I just can't see the other side. I've tried, right? Like, why? How can they say that with a straight face? It just doesn't make sense to me, man. It's frustrating. They should be trying to make the world a better place, and instead they're just falling back on the same kind of statements and rhetoric that have gotten us to where we are today. And I just think energetically, from a goodness and a moral standpoint, that we need to make some changes. And it really, the monetary system is a huge part of that. And, the three of us know that, but I just can't see why some of these well-educated, schooled people, I don't know what their intentions are and what their motivations are to do this. It's just, why are we constantly fighting? It's like, it's exhausting, right? Like, why do we constantly constantly have to look at this stuff and laugh at it and defend it. It's frustrating.
I totally agree. 100%. All right. We are going to dive into I guess you'd say the thick part of this fail. Here we go. So Davos is meeting this week. That is pretty much the World Economic Forum, gathering with their friends, telling everyone what to do. I went through, pulled together a few different tweets, and let's just take a look at the narrative, the hypocrisy, the hubris, the ridiculousness, the clown world that we are living in. And we are going to start off first with a tweet from Spinte at Bitcoin Crusader. Here we go. It's a conspiracy. No, it's not. They're saying it in plain sight. And here we go. Here's the leader himself, Klaus Schwab, with a little message for all of us.
Let's also be clear. The future is not just happening. The future is built by us, by a powerful community as you here in this room. We have the means to improve the states of the world, but two conditions are necessary. The first one is that we act all as stakeholders of larger communities, that we serve not our only self-interests, we serve the community. That's what we call stakeholder responsibility. And second, that we collaborate. And this is the reason why...
Makes very good points. Makes very good points. All right. So we all got to collaborate, right? Everybody's got to work together. You can't just think of yourself. You got to think of others. Okay, let's take a look at their climate change mission statement. Here we go. This is from the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum is committed to supporting global efforts in the private public sectors to limit global temperature rise and stave off disaster. That's right. We're going to fight the invisible climate monster. We aim to work with leaders to increase climate commitments, collaborate with partners to develop private initiatives, and provide a platform for innovators to realize their ambition and contribute solutions. Meanwhile, at the Davos conference itself, here we go, the World Economic Forum, we've got 1,500 private jets averaging 13,300 pounds of CO2 per 3-hour flight will deliver the world's richest NGOs, governments, and elite to decide what you will sacrifice and what they will gain. That's right. And they've actually built a whole entire little city specifically for the World Economic Forum. So talk about the hubris and the hypocrisy and just the doublespeak. It's completely insane. Moving on, because this actually does get significantly worse. Let's hear some more tidbits of how our future is shaping up to be.
We are finding ourselves in a place where we have increasing polarization everywhere, and everything feels binary when it doesn't need to be. So I think we're going to have to think about a recalibration of a whole range of human rights that are playing out online, from freedom of speech to the freedom to, to be free from online violence, or the right of data protection to the right to child dignity. We are finding... All
right, so we're going to have to redefine freedom of speech.
And what's interesting, too, is because the part about the child dignity at the end, look, let me be clear. I think that any type of, because I know what she's referring to, any type of child pornography or child exploitation online is absolutely horrific. But as we've seen, they're using that as an excuse to surveil every single message without the government, without the government essentially saying what they're surveilling. And they're already doing that in Europe. And what we've seen from the government is it just starts there. It just starts, oh, this is just for, child exploitation. Next, it's the other thing. Next, it's the other thing. And remember, when the Bank Secrecy Act was passed and that infamous $10,000 rule, right, where if you deposit more than $10,000 into a bank account, has to be reported to the internet. When that rule was implemented, $10,000 in the early 1970s was the equivalent to $70,000 today. And now all this time has passed, and guess what? That $10,000 rule is still implemented. And last year, the Biden administration wanted the Treasury Department to force banks to report to the government any transaction over $600, right? So remember, guys, this is just the foot in the door. Once they get, any, complete surveillance to any of your text messages under the pretense of this is for the children, that's just the beginning. We've always seen the government take a finger and end up taking an arm. Anyways, Phil, sorry for interrupting the video.
No worries. Let's continue on because it does get worse. So hold on a second, right? We're going to redefine freedom of speech. We have everything that Nico just explained, but wait, there's more.
We're developing through technology an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? Where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
So
we're developing.
Yes.
Oh God! So if I was
go ahead,
if I was there and if I was there and I heard that, the first thing I would say, oh, is this offline so I can do it myself and not on the cloud? You know, is this open source? Of course it won't be. It won't be open source. It will be cloud based, and everything you do will be uploaded to them.
Connect that with the fact that Phil showed you that all these people are taking their gas guzzling, expensive luxury cars, their private jets, but no, they want you, the peasant, to track yourself.
That's right.
The hypocrisy of these people. This forum, right, is the personification of late stage fiat. This is what it has caused through the Cantillionaire effect. And at the same time, there is hope, because at the same time as this forum, there's also the Oslo Freedom Forum, which represents the Bitcoin future, the Bitcoin freedom future that we have if we fight for it, coloring in the lines, of course. And then this is the alternative. This is the alternative of a future of fiat. This is an alternative of a future of CBDCs. Look at what Christine Lagarde just says. We just played it for you. These are the futures ahead of you. There is no other alternative. A Bitcoin future of a slightly inconvenient freedom, or a convenient, hey, you owe nothing, be happy, you'll live in the metaverse. This is what the elites want from you, even though that is exact opposite of what they want from themselves.
And I just want to finish it off, okay, with this last video here, okay, from Avi Yemeni, and he does, I think it's Rebel, what is it? Yeah, it's Rebel News, okay, in Australia. This is a great little clip, okay. He's essentially walking up to what appears to be corporate-owned media personnel and asking them a simple question, okay. And you got to remember, it is a world of incentives, okay. So here we go. Let's just finish it off with this, and then we can riff on this.
Rebecca, how are you doing from the New York Times? Can I ask you a quick question as Avi from Rebel News? How is the public meant to believe that the New York Times is here to actually ask the tough questions when you're here as an invited guest? How are people meant to rely on the mainstream media?
If you wouldn't mind, we're just having just if you could give us, thank you.
You don't want to explain to people why we should trust the mainstream media? No, of course, no comment. There we go. So,
dude, the hubris of these people is insane. Phil?
They're paid to be there. They're paid to be there. It is a world of incentives, and people should definitely check out the Rebel News Twitter feed, because he goes through and actually documents a whole bunch of essentially all these buildings that they're building from scratch specifically for these forums, okay? So it's exactly what you said, Nico, okay? It's a world of censorship for us. It's a world of low energy, just scrambling by for us, the peasants, okay, so that the intelligent, capable elite that deserve to have access to all the energy they want and all the resources they want, they can enjoy this. You shouldn't be taking up too much energy.
Brett, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, again, I mean, that whole conference, why wasn't Alex Gladstein invited to Davos to speak? Why don't they have alternative voices in there to speak out? And, on the other side, we should be inviting the Christine Lagardes of the world to the Bitcoin conference. Defend your position, make a speech, talk about why Bitcoin's terrible. I'd love to hear it on the Bitcoin conference. She can't do it. That's the issue. So yeah, it's all these types of shady conferences where what's the other one where they Bilderberg, where they don't publish anything you're not allowed to talk about.
The Bilderberg, right? Yeah.
The Bilderberg is not that different from this Davos one, from the World Economic Forum one. What's the difference? We don't know, because there's no press coverage allowed on that one.
Absolutely, man. These are the central planners and the world elites thinking that they know what's best for your life than you know for yourself. And the only thing that's stopping them, the only thing that's in the way is Bitcoin, but only if you take self-custody.